Hey Jake, what did you think about Commander Masters?
I was really hyped up to be truly amazing. It was just fine.
Masters set, I mean, they're usually decent value, sometimes a little bit pricier.
Yeah, good reprints usually. That's what, at least that's what you hope for.
I mean, Cyclonic Rift is already still one of the best cards in Commander,
Yep.
so it's interesting seeing how many of those, even the ones that we picked up after that came out, just ones to resell, just even though you might say, oh, Cyclonic Rift going down because it's a new reprint, price is probably going to fluctuate, all gone.
Yeah, still doing fine though. And then honestly, even with the commander, like actual commander masters, all those, I think those were a little hyper blown. They were all right. They weren't as amazing as they claimed it to be. At least Wizards claimed it to be.
You mean the Commander decks?
The commander master decks, yes.
I thought the Eldrazi one looked really cool.
I witnessed it played out of the box. It needs work.
Well, I mean, I think that's the benefit to those kinds of Commander decks that they sell pre-constructed, is that you have a really firm skeleton, and it's something that you can fine-tune as you go. One of the things I always liked, even if you go back to when they did Commander Legends, when they did the Commander decks for that, that you usually have a mix of themes in the deck, that it's not just a super streamlined, you do this, and then you do this, and then you win. It's more, you have different cards that work well together, but can go in different directions. I think that's kind of the fun of it. At the same time, these being a more premium type product, I think the price point might be a little bit intimidating for people. That is to say, if you're going to buy something out of the box that needs work anyway, and you're going to be building on it, do you want to start with something that's already in a higher tier, as opposed to starting with something else and then taking it more in your own direction?
Yeah.
That was a question.
But I prefer, with a lot of my deck building, I tend to take a precon, either gut it for the parts that I need, or take the standing commander and build around it a little more effectively. So it really depends on the commander. I mean, every time I looked at the Enchantress commander from this set, I was like, well, what could I benefit for my own Enchantress commander, or would this be a better Asman commander than I have at the moment? And in the end, I mean, there's good Enchantress cards. We're going to give them more soon.
Draft was fun.
Draft was very fun.
Commander Masters draft is always a weird one. Do you think that the Commander Masters draft format holds up both as a draft format and as a Commander analog?
I think it does, because it was a lot of fun to draft. When I got the chance to do it, I had a blast the entire time. Even though I didn't win wasn't the overall victor in my game, I got to do something really silly that resulted in a lot of people dying, and then I still got to get a couple of cards that I really needed for my commanders in general, and overall picking 2 from each pack worked out really well.
I think it's slow.
Really?
Not just the draft format, but I think Commander needs win conditions, especially multiplayer. When you get into a multiplayer format, it's a lot harder just to push to the end because it's so easy for the board to get stalled at. And I think that Commander Masters draft, both when they've done it like Commander draft for some of the Commander Legends set and for this time, it seems like a persistent problem where you have a lot of cool cards and you have a lot to do and you have a lot going on, but you don't have a way to get the game to the end where it belongs.
And I just threw a bunch of stuff on a dog and punched people to death. It worked out pretty well.
Well, that sounds like fun. And do you think that overall, just in terms of where it fits into the overall Magic release schedule and the overall release experience of this summer, Commander Masters has held up?
I don't think so. Wizards, I appreciate all the amounts of stuff we're getting. Slow down. It's okay. We can wait a little longer for a set to come out, particularly if it's a specialty set that, though a lot of people play Commander, isn't gonna end the world.
It's hard to sustain essentially over the course of the summer, 3 months in succession, 3 full set releases every year. And I get that the spring set is moving up a little bit early, and I get that you could say, oh, in the past, this is where you would have the core set plus a supplemental product. How different is it? But when you stack 3 large releases back to back, as this year, not even looking at any of the March of the Machine aftermath stuff or anything like that, we had Lord of the Rings immediately followed by Commander Masters, immediately followed by Wilds of Eldraine. When you have essentially 3 full set releases in 3 months, no matter how great those sets are, and no matter how much cool stuff you might be able to do with them, and no matter how different you could argue they are, no matter how much you might say they appeal to different audiences, there's only so much attention that each one can get. And I think for most customers and for most players, choices have to be made. You have to pick something over something else. Yeah. And there's always Commander that suffers. You know, this year it was Lord of the Rings over Commander Masters for a lot of people. Last year, it was Double Masters over Baldur's Gate for a lot of people.
Yep. I love Baldur's Gate.
Speaking of Wilds of Eldraine, what do you think of that? I mean, that's coming up very soon.
Yeah, that's looking really fun. I'm glad to see a lot of powerful standard cards coming into, well, the standard meta, as well as a bunch of, really pulling back on the amount of planeswalkers we're getting. We're only getting 1 this set. And then we're getting a bunch of very good mythics that can either be commanders or will be staples of many sets to come. I think there's the witch that does makes your activated abilities cost X less, equal to her power, and you can do a lot of fun things with that in any format.
The thing that I'm really excited about, just as far as cards go, is we finally have now just straight 3 mana instant speed divination, which is really interesting to me because it's always been 3 mana sorcery speed, draw 2 cards, or 4 mana instant speed, draw 2 cards, maybe with upside.
Yeah.
But just a straight 3 mana instant speed, draw 2 cards, that's a power level line that they've never really played with, that they haven't really crossed. And I feel like now that they're doing it, it's not even going to be that good a card.
No.
Like, I play a mono blue deck in Standard, and it's nothing but instant speed draw stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's actually going to be good enough to make a cut.
Really?
Yeah, because why would I want to have instant speed 3 mana draw 2 when I could have the instant speed 3 mana draw 3 discard a land?
Oh, that's true.
And again, having a 3-year-long Standard environment is going to probably hurt a lot of cards that are coming out, and that's something to consider. As we move into a new year's worth of Standard cards without anything rotating out, the best cards are still going to shine. So things that might be in the long run Standard staples, or might in the long run be eminently playable, right now might still have to take a back seat to things that came out 2 years ago.
That's very true. I mean, there's still, we still have Wild Hunt, Innistrad stuff in Standard, right?
Yes, and we will for the next year.
Jesus.
What do you think about the bonus sheet for Wilds of Eldraine?
All the really nice enchantments and a couple of just like standard good cards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm genuinely looking forward to it. I don't know exactly the rarity that we're going to see them. Is it only just going to be collector boosters that we'll predominantly see them, or is it more like the legendary creatures from March of the Machines?
I'm sure that there is an answer, I just don't know what it is.
I don't know it either. What I'm hoping is kind of like the March of the Machines one, where we can get a bunch of different really good enchantments. And how is that going to affect if you get them in draft? How is that going to affect? I have this simple card, but then I also have a doubling season now.
Yeah, people are saying, doubling season getting reprinted twice in a row back to back.
Yeah.
Right? But I think the reason for that is when they reprinted doubling season, they played doubling season, so they had to double it.
Yeah, correct. But I think that's going to be really interesting, and it has a lot of good cards that haven't been reprinted in a little while that are definitely going to benefit. I think there were some of the ley lines in there. Another Rustic Study reprint is always welcome.
A lot of stuff that feels like it could have been in Commander Masters.
Yeah, it really does.
Like
really
straight
weird.
Commander cards.
Really weird there, Wizards. What you thinking there? But I digress. I'm still excited for it. I hope I don't even think I need a doubling season anymore. I hope I pull at least a Ristic.
Yeah.
I think I only have like one.
well, I'm sure that when we crack open our collector boosters, we'll see what we get, and well, hopefully it'll be something fun. I don't have anything else to say.
I'm good.